Welcome back to Divine Chaos. And this week we're talking about her cycles. I'm Krista. I am super excited that you're here in Divine Chaos. It's where we get to talk about real life, real circumstances, the chaos of it all, right? But yet be divinely guided through it. So, over my years of doing energy healing, I've had many women come to me and not come to me for this, but I would ask them, so like, what's it like today, right? Like, did you notice any shifts? Did you notice anything, different? And a lot of them that are going through that transition in life, going into like menopause, they're more in the perimenopause phase, but they're doing that transition in life, right? I can't tell you how many have come back to me, and one of the things that they experienced was the fact that they had less hot flashes. So, more recently, I was like, because I kept getting this more often and more often, and me living in Panama, my heat's up, right? And I know, Ayurvedically speaking, that there's a way to turn down my internal temperature, which we'll go into a little bit later. But right now, it had provoked something within me. I kind of put out my feelers. I wanted to work with some women to get some feedback, strictly just with energy healing, right? Like, if I were to focus my attention on reducing hot flashes alone, even though that's not really how that works, but it does. There's a trickling effect when it comes to energy healing, right? So I just wanted to find out, right? Like, I was in that experimental phase. And this last person that I was working with, I ended up creating a program. She did all the things that I do, right? Like, I dabble in human design. I create these customized reports specifically to you and what it is that you're looking to find out based on your human design, which is based on, if you're not familiar with it, astrology, the chakra systems, and a whole bunch of other woo-woo, really awesome things, right? And it's really cool. I came across it when I was I was working with coaches, right? And it's one of their little things that they did. They brought it up, and we did it. I'm a manifester, woo-woo, and I found out a little bit about myself, but moved on, right? It came back into my world when I had just found out that I'm neurodivergent. This was maybe like 9 months later. And I have autism, dyslexia, and ADHD. Blew my mind. That's a whole nother episode. But human design came back into my world, right? And now I've learned over the years that when the universe is presenting something to me, that I'm not going to keep on, I'll check it out later, because we all know that when that starts happening, the universe seems to get louder and louder and louder, and pretty much, like, I would get to the point where I felt like I had face planted on some asphalt and I was being pulled across, and just not a good mess, right? Not pretty, not pretty. So I have learned to listen. And the second time it came by, I was like, okay, I'm going to open it back up. And I couldn't believe the fact that my newly discovered autistic traits and ADHD traits and things like that were totally in my human design. Not as like a bad thing by any means. They were really cool things of how I am, right? And for me, because, like, when you're diagnosed with something, I'm sure you would agree, like, if you've ever, I know you have, you get something from the doctor and then you go home and immediately and you're like, I gotta learn, right? Most of us do that. Exactly what I did. I went down a rabbit hole and I was digging, and there's a lot of TikTok in the beginning. I wouldn't exactly use that as a source, which jumped onto me really quickly, because then I was like, oh, I need to get out of here, because there's a lot of just people complaining about the issues but not providing any solutions. I'm a solution-based kind of girl. I don't believe in band-aids. I never have. I get to the root cause of a problem and solve it. That's who I am. So I started watching lectures. I started watching Ayurvedic lectures about people working with kids with ADHD, because there's not too much. Discovering it as an adult woman, they just started doing research on this not too long ago. So it's kind of very new to our society. And then similarly, kind of over there, because I couldn't find anything. But I already knew how to work with a lot of it, Ayurvedically speaking. However, I wanted to know if I missed anything. Like, what is it? I needed to refresh my memory, So I dug into a lot of lectures and things like that. Anyway, all the things that come along with having ADHD or autism, dyslexia, like, they're frowned upon. They're like oh, woe is me, I'll never be able to change this. This is just who I am. This is what just ADHD is, and, this, accept it, just move, like, whatever. And that's not true. That is so not true. They're co-occurring conditions. What does that mean? That means that there's these conditions, right? And then here's your whatever you have. These co-occurring conditions, they just happen to come along with this. They don't need to be here, but they're most likely going to happen if you're not taking care of yourself. Or in a well, I'm going to say it, Ayurvedic way, because I'll tell you right now, the Western society does not teach this. And it really needs to. Oh, that's what I'm here for. So anyway, there's a few other of us out there, but, we're limited. We are very limited. Anyway, so fast forwarding, now, a little bit. No, we'll stay back around that time. When I was living in Costa Rica, I didn't have a refrigerator, right? I was glamping, basically. I was freaking glamping. And it was cool. It was, I wouldn't trade it for the world. However, because of that, I had to make adjustments to my entire lifestyle, right? Coming from the States, I was completely supported Ayurvedically. When I was married, I had the money flowing, I had everything that I could possibly need at any time, right? And then one day I didn't. So when I got to Costa Rica, I really, really didn't. I never really thought, not having a fridge or having a fridge was a luxury. But I'll tell you what, it is. Because of that, my vegetables shifted, right? I had to use vegetables that would sit on the counter and not go bad right away. I can tell you, get this, right? Cream cheese will last on a counter in the humid weather, for 7 days before it starts to turn. Isn't that crazy? I think that's crazy. But there's so many things that everybody's like, oh, it has to be refrigerated. No, it doesn't. There are so many preservatives in stuff that it keeps it alive, so to speak. Anyway, these shifts in my diet, they were, and I knew at the time, but I was in a colder climate. It wasn't like freezing, but it was chillier, where a different dosha came out. And so I had to keep it warm. So I justified. And the fact that I didn't have a fridge, justified, right? And the fact that there's little money, so justified. Everything was justified. Everything was the way it was supposed to be. However, those foods were packing a lot of heat, right? My garlic, my onions, I had tomatoes, all raring with fire, right? So now yeah, and a hell of a lot of coffee. The coffee was so warm. and it tasted so yummy. And I learned being neurodivergent, like we have a tendency to really, really crave that coffee. And I mean, like there were a lot of days where that's all I drank. I didn't drink any water. In fact, I would, this little tiny cup here, I would have a little like a conversation with myself in the morning, like, Krista, drink 1 cup of or 1 cup of water today. There it is. And it would be the first thing that I would have, and then the rest all day would be coffee. Not good. I'm telling you, that's not good. And a lot of us neurodivergent people do that. And coffee is extremely heating. The caffeine in it is extremely heating. So anyway, fast forwarding now to me moving to Panama City, where it's really hot, complete different environment, you know. It's still humid, but it's hot, humid, right? And so now that heat that I've been packing inside of me is starting to come out. No, it's trying to come out, but it's kind of trapped. And now, if you think about that, if you fast forward to that transition in life, like women going through, you know, going into menopause and that are experiencing hot flashes, think about that. Like a hot flash is what? A sudden burst of heat that's just blah, right? And it's because your channels are blocked, and it's like, and then all of a sudden, it's like it's running out, right? So I know with my Vedic knowledge where this is heading for me, right? If I don't get this under control now, I know what my transition will look like. And that's not pretty. And that's not something that I want. And this really, really, really came to my attention when I was creating a particular food list for my client who was going through my programs, right? She did she found out all about her human design, and then we did a Vedic analysis all while she's doing the energy healing and starting to relieve some of that heat. There was a lot of emotional things. It was interesting in the Vedic analysis. I was able to, like, hey, what happened 20 years ago? You know, like right around this time, because I could see there was a big, massive heat rush, right? And like the Pitta dosha tipped and came out, you know, like she was experiencing a lot of Vata dosha things, which I'll explain a little bit later. But there is a big flare up of Pitta. Pitta is the fire, right? Pitta is the fire. And she went through a divorce. And there was some anger, and it has not been resolved. So fast forwarding now, because here's the thing when it comes to the transitions in life. I learned this back in school, and I was like, really? You know, but I didn't doubt it because of the way our society rolls, right? Those transitions are supposed to be seamless. You aren't supposed to be experiencing hot flashes. You're not supposed to be experiencing, you know, like in 1997, there were 150 symptoms tied to the perimenopause, menopause transition. Over 150. Can you imagine what that is today? It blows my freaking mind. Blows my mind. So hot flashes is just a big one, right? So is the brain fog. So is, you know, like, let's check it out, right? Because I was joining some groups because I wanted to see. And I'm just like, Vata Pitta. Yeah. Here are some common symptoms. I was commenting on this the other day. You're not going crazy. It's menopause. Top 40 perimenopausal symptoms. Top 40. I know I'm not going to read them all. Hot flashes, cool flashes, night sweats, clammy feeling, heart palpitations, irritability, mood swings, trouble sleeping, irregular periods, low sex drive, vagina, fatigue, anxiety, depression, lack of focus, poor concentration, faulty memory, incontinence, itchy, crawly skin, tense muscles, sore breasts, headaches, digestive issues, bloating, allergies, weight gain, hair loss, thinning, more facial hair, dizziness, vertigo, da 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 da. All right, so I wanted to make this more interesting because I wanted to take this little list to see the list, right? And I wanted to color code it and be like, okay, hot flashes would be red for Pitta. Pitta is the fire, right? The fire energy, the dosha that runs through our body. Then you have Vata. Vata is the air dosha, air element based dosha that governs it in our body. And air, if you think of air, it's light, it's quick, it moves, it just goes, doesn't stop, right? And then we would have Kapha, which is the heaviest of the elements. That one's, I'm going to jump into different tangents, but because I can go on and on and on and on about the doshas. I love the doshas. But Kapha is the heaviest of the elements, but I would label that one green. So looking at all of these, let's just go, I'll go like this. Red, blue, red, green, red, red, red. Well, that one can involve all three. It depends, you know, like the trouble sleeping. Like, do you having trouble falling asleep because of racing thoughts? That would be blue. If it's because you're hot, you're waking up for hot flashes, that would be red, you know, things like that. So you can go into them a little bit deeper. Irregular periods, same kind of thing. Low sex drive, the dryness, air, blue, fatigue, that one depends. Okay, so the point is like I just wrote this really cool story. It's what kind of made me end up doing today, because I'll tell you what, I didn't feel like doing today. I felt like I don't want to do it today. You know, I started my period, my cycle, the day that I started doing this, and I was like, no freaking way, what is that trying to say, right? And so I was just thinking, Krista, do it anyway, right? Because I mean, you may not get me all like, yeah, or anything like that right now, but this is real, right? This is real life. So here I am, in the real, in the raw. I didn't put like a big massive face on. I didn't do my hair. I didn't, you know, I just go to, yeah, no, this is me rolling today, and I'm in my first week of period. Okay, somebody replied to a comment, and I still want to read it. You know what's, okay, it was about that 100, let's just read it, right? You know, it was in regards to this checklist. That's why it came up. It was a notification letting me know that, hey, somebody responded. So in regards to that checklist, I said, you know what's crazy? By 1997, there were over 150 symptoms documented. I can't imagine what that number is today. And then somebody just responded, Krista, and here we are in 2025 and still being so missed by doctors or given powerful mind-altering and addictive medications. Right? So here's the thing. When I was in my 30s, early 30s-ish, somewhere in there, I don't know. It was in my 30s, though. I know that decade. I was, according to the doctor, experiencing perimenopause. You know, I would get really hot. I would have those flashes. I apparently a lot of symptoms that made them be like, no, it's not the medications, it's not the MS, it's perimenopause. And I'm like, right? And I didn't question them because my mom went through that. My mom went through a younger transition, and God, I just remember her as a kid, like, always seeing her suffer with those hot flashes all the time, you know, like to the point where she would roll around naked, not naked, she had her bra on, but in the snow. And we lived in in Chicagoland where it's cold, you know, but she got her relief, apparently. Either case, you know, like when I started doing this, my get off the Western society is belief system, I guess you could say. I don't know what the hell you want to call it, my healing journey. that was my big reason, right? Was one, my kid was too young for me to die. My mom died when I was 20, and I refused to let that happen to my kid. So I needed to change my life, change the directory that I was heading, because I'm a splitting age of my mom, and that shit needed to change, right? So I did. I changed that. So now I started to change this as well. However, that Costa Rica bit kind of put me back down a few steps. So I need to, kind of clean house and get myself back to where I was. Because as I mentioned, these transitions are supposed to be seamless. Don't believe me? Well, I'm a digger, right? And I remember learning this in school because, like I said before, I learned this in school. So I dug further into my teachings because, like I said, I was working with my clients and I wanted to really hone in on this because I was seeing such a result for women that were going through this transition, and I really wanted to focus in on it, right? So I created a program, and it is to wipe it all out, right? Because you actually have that ability. You have the ability to wipe it all out. Now, you might come back and be like, well, Krista, what about the hormones? The hormones are what cause it all and everything like that. Well, it wasn't always like this. Way back in the day, the women actually honored their bodies. They would, I don't know about here well, not here in Panama, but like in the U.S., right? I don't know if they had their huts. Like I was taught, like in India and other Eastern cultures, women, when they got their periods, they would actually go out into the woods. They would have like a special little area, and the women would take care of each other. They would brush each other's hair. They would nourish each other. They would really hone in on and honor their needs for their body and what was going on. We don't do that anymore. We don't. Look around, ladies. When was the last time somebody was like, I just go take some time off, because you got your period, right? No. We have to get up, push through it, and move on, right? And suck it up, buttercup, kind of thing. And especially in our society. So that right there is the challenge. We have not honored our body in a natural way for I don't know how long. There is a huge reason why we are so discombobulated, and that is why. So this is a little glimpse into my story that I was writing. There's 3 times of life. There's your kappa time of life. It's all about the growth, protection, lubrication. Like, if you think of a little toddler, they always got snot running down their nose, or, and they're growing because there's so much growth, right? That's the kappa time of life. Then you have your pitta time of life. Pitta time of life, the fire, happens like when a woman gets her period, right? She's now stepping into that time of her life. And then the last cycle of life is menopause. The woman is drying up, so to speak. So I'm going to read you this little bit blurb from the Pitta time of life and tell me how much you can resonate with this. The woman stormed into the clearing, throwing herself down beneath the oak. The whole story is like there's this wise old oak tree, it's like a grandmother kind of thing, and the 3 cycles of women go to her. So the woman stormed into the clearing, throwing herself down beneath the oak. A coffee cup balanced on her knee, her phone buzzing beside her. She lets out a great exhale as her shoulders sink inward. The oak hummed, "What's bothering you, child?" The woman, hugging her head or hanging her head low, ran a hand through her hair. "I feel like I'm running on fumes. I wake up tired, I go to bed tired, and somehow in between I have to be everything to everyone. Work deadlines, family, endless to-do lists, and don't even get me started on meal planning. I mean, am I supposed to be a chef and a supermom and a career woman? And yet somehow my mother's generation didn't even complain about it. She threw her hands up. Meanwhile, I'm living on coffee. I forget to eat. And if one more person tells me to just take a bubble bath and relax, I might actually scream. The oak sighed, her branches swaying. Ah, the myth of your time. That women must burn themselves out to be worthy. That exhaustion is proof of your love, your strength, your dedication. That exhaustion, yeah. The woman swallowed. Isn't it? No, child. It is proof that your fire is burning too fast. And when fire burns too fast, it turns to ash. Right? I'm going to get sidetracked. You're burning yourself out and feeling the effects. The woman is silent. Her eyes swelled with overwhelm as she gazed up at the old wise tree. The oak's branches stretched towards the sky. This is the time to nourish your inner fire, not deplete it. Your energy is precious. You are moving into the fullest expression of your power, but power must be sustained. She glanced at her coffee cup. What does that even mean? Because right now, if I don't have this, I can't function. She holds up her coffee. The oak chuckled, her leaves rustling like laughter. Ah, child. They have convinced you that energy comes from a cup. But real energy, the kind that lasts, does not come from stimulants. It comes from rhythm, from nourishment, from honoring your body's true needs. She glanced at her coffee cup. So what do I do? Support your fire. Eat grounding, nourishing foods, sweet potatoes, whole grains, cooked vegetables. Breathe deeply. Set boundaries. Let go of what no longer serves you. The world will ask more and more of you, but you must learn the sacred word, enough. The woman hesitated, then asked, but how do I say enough is enough? So many depend on me. The oak smiled. You begin by saying it to yourself, not as a whisper, but as a truth. And once you believe it, the world will listen. So how many of you can relate with the go, 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 doing everything for everyone and putting your needs aside, not taking care of yourself? How many? I did it all my life, right? And I'm sure, we're groomed. That's what we're groomed to do, right? We got to put our foot down and we really got to hone in on our needs. We have to. It is our life. Nobody's going to do it for us, I want to fast forward. You like my little illustrations? I drew them. This is my favorite. Sorry, I'm going to be totally sidetracked. Look at that badass. Woo, woo. I was inspired by a picture that I saw on Canva and then drew it myself. So, the transition. Let's go. Okay. It's the final bloom. The menopause, right? Tell me if you can relate to this. The woman returned once more, older now, with hair kissed with silver. She plopped down beneath the oak with a dramatic sigh. The oak rustled its leaves. Is something troubling you, child? The woman's face began to wrinkle up and thought. Do you remember when I was here last time? All bright-eyed and ready to support my fire? She made air quotes. Yeah, well, life had other plans. I tried to eat nourishing foods, but do you know how much easier it is just to grab a coffee and call it a breakfast? And boundaries? Please, my family, my boss, my entire world. Do you think they care about my sacred world enough? Spoiler alert, they don't. I told you, nobody's gonna do it, only you. She rubbed her face, and now I wake up at 3 a.m. with absolutely no reason. My body thinks that sleep is optional. And the hot flashes, I used to love summer, now I am summer. I'm in the middle of the grocery store. And my patience, she laughed dryly, gone. Someone chews too loudly, and I have to resist the urge to throw something at them. My doctor just patted me on the knee and said, "Welcome to menopause," just like I joined some exclusive suffering club. She shook her head. I should have listened to you, but now it's too late, right? I ruined my chances of having an easy menopause, didn't I? The oak let a golden leaf drift down to her lap. Ah, child, you're not ruined. You're simply meeting yourself. The woman blinked. I'd rather not meet her at 3 a.m., drenched in sweat. La, 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 la. Okay, so here it is. The oak chuckled. Your body no longer sends energy outward. Because that's what the Pitta time of life is. It's like all your energy is going outward because you're doing so much, right? It's that time of life. You're just, you're raising your family, you're developing your career, you're doing it all, right? So energy is going outwards. The menopausal time of life is the opposite. Your body no longer sends energy outwards. It keeps it. No more tides to drain you. Tides of the ocean. No more bending to nature's rhythm. You become your own. She exhaled. So there's still hope for me? Yes, child, but you must tend to yourself now. She frowned. But how? The oak's branches swayed. Start where you are. Cool the fire. And then I go into some helpful tips. Like pomegranates. I'll give you that one right now. Pomegranates are huge in the menopausal hot flash, like for pittas. Like, I need to get my hands on pomegranates. I've looked at my grocery stores here. I have 2 other grocery stores that I gotta check out because I can't find them. But they would be phenomenal. Phenomenal. I don't have that book handy. I put it away. Yeah. I call it my Bible of herbs, is one of my textbooks when I went to school, and it has like all the herbs, right? And it's just glorious. And they actually have a whole thing in there about pomegranates in for the reproductive system. And so I'm just all like, I need me some pomegranates. And I just learned, I was watching this show, how to cut a pomegranate, because I don't think I've ever actually had a pomegranate. I learned in school that if you take the seeds and you go into your eyes, if you have red eyes being Pitta governed, red eyes, red fire, do that association, right? That's the thing. That's the beautiful thing about Ayurveda. It makes sense, it's not like you're gonna put green and red together and call it a fire. Right? It's like red stuff shows up as Pitta, the fire. My eyes are burning because my fire in my body is elevated right now because of my period. So I'm extra hot right now because the flow of blood is Pitta, right? So anyway. I could go on and on and on and on about this. The whole point is, 1, get yourself some pomegranates. They will cool your ass down, especially for the summertime, Don't buy that processed shit in the store. I did. I bought, because I was like, I can't find any pomegranates. So I settled for, it's one of those aloe bottles of aloe, and aloe juice or whatnot, which is good for you. It's great for you. However, make your own, because I don't know if you've ever read those labels. They're full of the artificial shit, the artificial sugars, and it's even though they say no sugar, well, there's a sweetener of some sort in there, and it's not natural. So read the labels. I cannot stress that enough. I found an aloe juice that is infused with pomegranate. And damn well it's not real pomegranate, it's pomegranate flavor. And it's like, fudge. But I had never had a pomegranate, and I already know how bad this is for me, but I never had a pomegranate, so I wanted to try it. And, oh my god, it's delicious. Probably all that fake sugar. I don't know. But it was delicious. So it gave me hope. Now I just need to find it here. And because like living in this hot ass environment, that they have pomegranates growing here because it's super cool to, no pun intended, it's super cool to see like when you go to a hot environment, the vegetation that grows, right? It's generally cooling. It's, well, depending on on the area, on the environment, right? You're not going to see avocados, watermelon, melons in general. You're not going to see that kind of stuff growing in the tundra, like, no. That doesn't make any sense, right? Because it wouldn't be supportive of their environment. But it's one of those things that I'm always like, ooh, that's so cool, right? So I know they have pomegranates here, and I'm on a mad hunt because that is huge to incorporate into this, especially if you're having hot flashes, right? So moving along, I have been seeing tremendous results from energy healing because it is literally releasing those trapped emotions that we've kept inside. It's going to open up the flow. That's the whole purpose, is like we need to open up your channels again and allow the flow again so you don't have that burst of heat, right? So it can stimulate evenly. And then you support yourself with those cooling, nurturing foods. Oh, people would bring in the hormones, right? Like I watched this thing. This was going around in that women's group that I'm in down here. Because like I was telling you before, I don't know if I mentioned it here. They want to start a women's panel for women's health. I'm like, right there, baby. Like this is kind of like simultaneous. Talk about divine guidance, right? Simultaneously, this is all happening, right? Like I'm like, oh my gosh, I am finishing up a program or a trial, I don't know what you want to call it, where I'm working with women with their hot flashes and the energy healing and blah, 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 and I'm about to put together a program. I would love to be a part of this, and then anyway, so they shared Oprah. Oprah's coming out with a menopause show, and they showed a clip. They shared a clip on there, and I just did the Ayurvedic assessment for my client the night before, and I was like, hey, watch this clip and tell me what you think, based on what you just learned last night. And it was cool. It was a good response, because sadly even Oprah is brainwashed. She was like, it just took estrogen. And it was like, for her, she had a big, massive brain fog issue, like to the point where she said that she stopped her book club because she couldn't focus, right? So let's think about those. Let's bring that back to the doshas. Vata. It's total Vata right there. Brain fog and the lack of focus is completely Vata. In the dry vagina, Vata. Dry skin, Vata. Like, I can go on and on. Vata, Vata, Vata. So I'm just saying. So you can stop it now. You can get it under control now. So that way when you go into your transition, it will go with ease. That's what I'm doing. So, and even if you already are in that transition, I can totally help you with that and direct you. Is that like, stick around, just stick around, because this is my jam right now, my jam. So I wanted to, back in Costa Rica, living on a mountain by myself with my cat. My cat is extremely talkative. That's the reason why he was chosen, because he's my empty nest cat. I'm somebody that needs somebody to bounce ideas off of, right? Like, I like to throw an idea out, somebody throw it back, and then blah, 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 right? And I didn't have anybody for that. ChatGPT became a very good friend of mine. In fact, we're like on a first name basis. I call him Chat. So like I finished my book, and then I plug it in just to get his opinion, and like, so I can get his, like, okay, where are the mistakes, what do I need to change, whatever, blah blah blah. And I got a 9.5 out of 10 stars. And it was super cool. And I was like, I bet you say that to all your authors out there, right? No, because last night I was plugging in my store, and I already know my store needs massive help, right? And he was like, all right, I say this with so much love and support. I was like, big difference, right? Big difference. But I already knew, so it was okay. Anyway, so what, really bringing it back, my cycle started right when I was starting this part of the book. And because I get to the end, this little story is about the three phases, right? The three blooms in a woman's life. And at the end, it's like, okay, well, now what, right? And so I created like a reflections page, and then and that's fine, that's great. But this is the part that really got me excited. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, or if it will be backwards or whatnot. Yeah, it's totally backwards, but you can see the chart, right? It's called Her Cycle Self-Care. Self-care, because I don't know about you, but I was never taught how to self-care myself during my period. So I thought this was so awesome. Think of your menstrual cycle like the four seasons. You know, like winter, fall, spring, and summer. I had to think about them because I don't have them anymore. Winter, the menstruation, you're bleeding, right? What you might feel: low energy, reflective, needing warmth. I don't need any warmth. I'll just say that. However, comfort, you know, like if it were, like when I think of warmth, I think of like a cozy blanket, right? So comfort. Self-care ideas: rest more, eat warm soups, journal, say no without guilt. That was going to be my video today. Like, I wasn't even going to do a video today because I was like, you know what? I don't feel like it, right? But I wanted to capture this because it was the topic that I wanted to talk about, and it's like, I'm going through it. Why wouldn't I combine the two, right? So, here I am. Spring. Follicular, after the period, energized, and I do go more specifically like in the dates and stuff, but this is the cliff notes. How you might feel: energized, optimistic, playful. And then self-care ideas: try new things, set gentle goals, move your body, eat fresh foods. The thing that was dawning on me, right, when I was doing all this, was, like I said, I dove deeper into my Ayurvedic teachings, in the female reproductive system, and because now, you know, like, I'm experiencing it in life, so now it really pertains to me, so here I am, right? And it's popping up all over the place. So anyway, when I was in Costa Rica, towards the end, I was trying to adjust my life to the moon cycles, right? And for some reason, I couldn't quite grasp that. But this, and that's what I was like, oh my gosh, I'm starting with day one. I'm in the winter season right now, literally today. Not today, but this was a few days ago. Because I was like, okay, I can do this, right? Like, it made me excited because now here's a cycle that I can actually follow, right? I don't know about you, but you look outside and you look at the moon, and like, some people are like, a lot of people in Costa Rica, they plant around the moon phase. They do a lot of things around the moon phases. I, on the other hand, I struggle remembering what I'm supposed to do and what the hell does that mean? Like, which it's that shape. So is that the new moon? I know it's not the full moon. You know, like it wasn't clicking with me, but this really resonated. So because then I was also looking back at, like, last week, I felt great, you know, I was feeling fine. So it's like, to see that dramatic shift, it's like, it tells you right here, you know. So anyway, going into the summer is the ovulation, mid-cycle. You feel confident, social, magnetic, because I can feel my ovulation. I never really had challenges with my period, like with, you know, like everybody always had their symptoms, right? I didn't. Not well. I did have heavy periods for a time in my life, but again, that was a pitta imbalance that I learned. As soon as I was working on reducing my pitta, it was all during my MS phase, because MS is pitta and vata together. And guess what? This transition in life is pitta and vata together, right? And it's like, oh, okay, so it's all coming back to me, right? And the same thing with the ADHD and autism. It's interesting, right? It's so interesting. There's a splash kappa in there, don't get me wrong. You know, kappa's everywhere. Kappa's your protector. He's got to come in, because when those two start looking around, you know, kappa's got to come in and be like, hey now. Like, stop. Fire. Put your fire out. I'm going to put your fire out for you. You know, like, I always wanted to write children's stories based on the doshas, because the doshas are like, it's a Jekyll and Hyde situation, right? Like, you have, when they're good, they're good. Vata dosha is your creative, talkative one. Your pittas are the structured, orderly. They're the managers. They're great that way. Vatas would be like your salespeople. You would never find them behind a desk. And then your kappas are the dependable, reliable protectors. You know, they're there to make sure everything's happy, everything's good, everything's going great. And I don't remember where I was going with that. That's why I didn't want it. That's why I debated me going off on a tangent. That would be my vata. Anyway, so I'm gonna go right back to this. Okay, so summer is your ovulation. Confident, social, magnetic. Connect with others. Express creativity. Eat light, vibrant foods. Fall is the luteal before period. Moody, introspective, needing grounding, declutter, slow down, eat root vegetables, set gentle boundaries. And then, like I said, like I was so pleased with myself. Like, I drew everything, you know, like, well, I added, but look, it goes into more detail. I did create all these, you know, I did create all that, but, you know, I chose the background and then built off of it. So anyway. And it's just cool, because now I'm at the beginning of that stage, and now I can actually follow this system, right? And it's not that I want to follow it, but I'm more of an observer the first time around. Like, I want to see how that's going to really affect me. But I already know, because I already started. That's why I started watching the moon phases, because I would notice how I would go like this, right? And when I was in school, like, they gave us charts and stuff like that, so we could start monitoring our womanly hormonal shifts, because it shifts all the time. All through the 28 days, 30 days, however long your flow is, your cycle is. Generally, they're 28, but it's I never did it, right? I never did it. I would just go day by day. I would have it up, I would have it down, I would have whatever, you know? And I was always just go with the flow. Ha ha ha. I don't know if the pun was intended or not. Alright, so my overall point of this whole episode is the fact that, one, the first and foremost is that we have disconnected from our true nature so much that all these other issues have arrived. They rose up because of it, right? And now we're deeming those issues as acceptable. And it's like, don't, you know? Or, I mean, you can. I'm not going to stop you. But I am going to say, you don't have to. That's it. You don't have to. You don't have to experience that, you know? Which, I don't know about you, but to me, that's freaking exciting. Exciting beyond means, because now that means not only am I changing my life, I'm changing my ancestral line, you know? Like, I'm changing the pattern that I was taking of my mom's, you know? And now, like, when I have grandkids or granddaughters, I can actually help them through their cycle, the whole freaking show, right? Like, I can spread this knowledge beyond and teach the women how to fully support themselves all over again, right? Because we have lost that. ability so much. And well, that's what I hope to do, right? It's like I'm in a chaotic moment. Heat's rising. I'm not losing my temper. My heat is nothing like it used to be. You know, I used to have the rage attacks. I used to freaking the skin conditions. I do get I get period pimples. You know, let's see, there's one right there. I had another one right here. Yep. But you should have seen me way back in the day, you know? Like, so I mean, I know I get into my head and I think it's worse than it really is. So the moment that I'm like, oh my gosh, because you're not as bad as you thought you were, right? That makes me feel good. That makes me feel really good. Good. You know, not like, but holy shit, that's good, right? Like, because that made me nervous. That made me really nervous. And I know when I was living in Costa Rica and I know that I was piling on those heating vegetables, you know, all of them. I had that thought in the back of my head, you know where this is going to lead you. You know where this is going to go. You know, because my mind goes to, explosive BMs, you know, like, 'cause that was always a big issue, or my explosive behavior, or, like, it was the rage attacks, right? Explosive. You think of fire, it explodes, right? It all makes sense. It all correlates. So, how do we bring this to a close? Oh! I can't bring it to a close yet because I wanted to share this. It was a conversation that I was having with ChatGPT. I wanted to ask about, oh my gosh. And you thought I was a talker. Excellent question. One that touches the core of Ayurveda teaches. Well, duh, that's what I am, right? My question was, say you're balanced, like that's my goal, right? Like I want to balance my doshas. And then comes along menopause, and now my hormones just went out of whack. Like, what happens to the balanced woman who experiences the hormonal drop? Excellent question. One that touches the core of what Ayurveda really teaches. Let's dive into this based on Dr. Savoda's awesome. We had a lot of this stuff in school. Work in Ayurvedic understanding. In Ayurveda, it is not the hormonal drop itself that causes suffering. It's how this had to do with Oprah, remember? Because she was like, it all had to do with my estrogen. No, and I already knew. Like, I go around identifying everybody's imbalances, right? Or their constitutions, because I don't know, I'm obsessed. I'm a people watcher, that's what I do. And I already know Oprah, like Kappa imbalance and blah, blah, blah. Okay. It's how prepared and balanced your body and mind are when the shift happens. Hormonal drops in estrogen and progesterone are natural. Dosha balance, especially managing Vata and Pitta, determine how gracefully you experience that change. If a woman enters a hormonal transition with her doshas mostly balanced, her body has more resilience, her tissues are better nourished, good ojas, and equaling immunity and vitality. I was like, do I have to explain? Her mind is calmer and more accepting. Her fire, Agni, is digestive. Is steady, which means digestion, metabolism, and mental clarity stay strong. Even though estrogen and progesterone levels naturally drop, a balanced woman may experience minimal or no hot flashes, stable emotions without big mood swings, good sleep with only slight adjustments needed, mild dryness, but not painful or disruptive, continued sense of purpose and vitality rather than confusion or fear. In contrast, if there's already underlying imbalance, which is everybody in our society, like high vata, anxiety, dryness, restlessness, or high pitta, heat, inflammation, frustration. The hormonal shift amplifies the imbalance dramatically, leading to all the classic symptoms: night sweats, insomnia, irritability, memory lapse, etc. I should write a song. Sounded kind of like a little rhyme. In short, balanced doshas create a softer landing. Oh, I like how they said that. I didn't read this before. Even though the hormones change, a woman rooted in balance will transition through menopause more gracefully, often even gaining strength and clarity rather than losing it. Because here's the thing, those times, that time of our life, going into the third bloom, the third cycle of our life, menopause, those are our wisdom years. Like the story was saying, the energy goes backward into us, like we're no longer spewing it out. And those have become our wisdom years. Like we get to learn about ourselves and truly learn the power that we hold, right? Even though the hormones change, a woman rooted in balance will transition through menopause more gracefully, often even gaining strength and clarity rather than losing it. Menopause isn't meant to be a time of deterioration. It's meant to be a time when a woman reclaims her power fully. What did I just say? The drop in hormones just reveals the truth of how nourished or depleted a woman's system already is. Ayurveda is about preparing the body and mind for that truth, so that transition can be a blossoming. That's so cool how it totally correlates with my story. So the transition can be a blossoming, not a breaking. And then it asked me if I would like a quick before and after example of a balance versus imbalance transition to really dive into the point home. No, that's okay. That's okay, because I think you might have gotten my point, maybe. So, yeah, I created something here. And I mean, I didn't create Ayurvedic teachings or anything like that, but I did create some stuff to help not just myself but you out. And if you're interested, let me know. Just reach out. You can drop it in the comments. How do people get a hold of me? You can go to my store. It's under massive construction right now. I'll put the links in the bio. That's what I'll do. I'll put the links in the bio. I mean, most of the time people, I'm a Facebook girl, so like hit me up in Messenger. I'll be like, bam, right on it. Or WhatsApp. Living down here in these parts, WhatsApp is like huge. So I'm up on that really fast. Messenger and that is really fast. Or you can just visit my store and see what there is supporting for you as well. It is one of the biggest things that I've seen with this is like the package that I put together. It's not just the certain foods and the certain lifestyle changes or anything like that. It's like it also includes the energy healing, because energy healing, from my experience for the past decade, is the most non-invasive way to clear shit from your body and your energetic field, right? So it's like easy. I like the easy button, right? I don't want to have to relive through all my traumas all the time. I don't want to have to talk to somebody about it for years. I don't want to have to do all of that, just like lay down for an hour and then whoop, there it goes, and you don't even know what it was, but it's gone. You feel great. Anyway, it's a combo. It's a combo of everything. And then I'm actually putting together a community. This is like all in the very beginning. So like in the works. Community it's full of women who are going through it too, right? And we're all going to experience our challenges. We're all going to experience our celebrations. I would love to be able to support you through the journey as well. So, I know I went a little over this week. There's a lot to say, It's funny, like when we were in school and we were learning about the female reproductive system, it took us 2 months. 2 months to cover. Normally we would spend a month on each system, right? And then for the female reproductive system, it was twice as long. And it was so funny. Like the male reproductive system, it only took a little bit. They got it, man. They're easy. Although, just hey, FYI, guys go through their fluctuations too. You know, I'm just saying. So have some grace. Not just with yourself, but with them as well. I'm super excited for next week. Next week, I have a super awesome woman coming into, we'll be up at the rooftop doing our interview there. She's all about empowerment. I can't wait to bring her onto the show, and it's going to be so much fun. So join us next week. Join me next week. Join us next week. Still getting the hang of this. But I appreciate you being here. Mwah! And have a beautiful day. And stay divinely guided. That's what I would say. Pay attention to the signs. And be kind to yourself. There, I like that. Be kind to yourself. My teacher used to say that all the time. Be kind to yourself. There's a fly. Freak out. Fire, rage. I had a fly. There it is. There's my rage. Oh my gosh, fly. All right. And, oh, snap. Okay, is it, and like, I think he's just telling me, hey, you're done. Okay, I get the point. That fly. That floor. For real. Fly, don't bother me.